I am being pressured to give money to a child that's legally mine, and I don't want to. Small detail before I begin the story. I'm from Europe, and the system in here is a bit different than in the US. I, 46 male, have 4 children. 3 are biologically mine, 1 is my wife's affair baby. The oldest one is Olivia, 26, twins males are 22, and the youngest Emma is currently 17. I discovered that Emma wasn't mine about 2 to 3 months after the birth. From the first time I've seen her, we didn't look anything alike, and I was quite suspicious but ignored it for the time being. I just didn't think that my ex would cheat on me, and I just hoped that I was imagining things. Then after 2 months, I decided to do a paternity test, and just to be sure if our baby wasn't mixed up, I did one for my wife as well. The results arrived after a few weeks, and not surprisingly, the kid isn't mine, and there was no baby mix-up. I filed for divorce shortly after. The divorce was long, expensive, and ugly, but at the end I got 50-50 custody for the twins and Olivia. As for the youngest, I had to pay child support. I tried to fight it with evidence that the kid wasn't mine, but the court verdict was that she was legally mine, so I had to pay it, unless the father of the youngest would show up and take responsibility. My ex absolutely refused to tell anyone who the father was, and claimed it was just a few nightstands and doesn't know who the guy is. As a result, I'm stuck paying child support for 18 years. I told my ex that without child support, she wouldn't receive anything else from me, that I won't be a father for Emma, and I don't want to see her. After the divorce was finalized, I moved to a different city. I just wanted a fresh start, and it was difficult, but everything worked out except for dating. I tried learning to trust again, but it was extremely difficult, and at the end, after many failed relationships, I ended up single. The main issue was I couldn't trust anyone except my kids and family, and that mainly destroyed every single relationship I had. I tried therapy, but that led basically nowhere. After a few years, when Olivia was 14, she got in a huge fight with my ex and decided to live with me. The fight with her mother happened because she wanted to take Olivia's money that she was saving. As a result, Olivia wanted to stay away from her mother, and she decided to live with me until she was 20. Here is where the problem begins. For my children, I was saving money, and each got 65,000 euros after they finished school. I tried to teach them to not waste money and invest, but at the end it was up to them. Fortunately, they invested the money smartly, and are currently living independently. But the problem started when my ex started hinting about Emma, asking when will she receive money like her other siblings. At first I thought she was joking and jokingly said, when her real father shows up. She got extremely angry and started yelling about how bad a father I am, and that joke was inappropriate. I got angry myself and said that she should have thought about that before cheating, and that I already paid for a child who isn't mine for almost 18 years. At the end, I blocked her number and went about my day. That evening, Emma called me and asked why she won't receive anything. I politely said that she knows that she isn't my child. She got angry, yelled that this wasn't fair, and hung up. My ex keeps calling with different numbers and keep yelling what a bad person I am. I can afford it. Obviously, it would leave a dent in my savings, but at the same time, I don't want to do it. Me and Emma never had a relationship. Maybe we would speak 2 or 3 times a year. But at the same time, I feel guilty for excluding and punishing her for what my ex did. Now for the top comments. If the kid is 17 already, wouldn't that mean you only have 1 more year to pay support for Emma? Or are you saying you need to pay child support for Emma until she's 35? The remaining time is less than a year. No, my ex just wants to get more money from me, and that's probably it. Pay until the end. Keep them blocked. Tell Emma to find her bio father. And finally, move on. And when she finds her bio dad, sue him and the ex. I won't achieve anything with that. Even if the father appears now and admits everything, I wouldn't get any compensation for those years. It's best to just let go. What happened already happened. You have paid a child support that was court-ordered for a child that biologically isn't yours. You have made those payments in full. That is the end of your obligation to that child. Your ex decided to cheat and not go after the bio dad for child support, etc. I'm sorry, but you don't owe that child anything else. You didn't raise her. You were just forced to pay for them. Your ex can give them some money. Keep your money and use it for your retirement or for your future grandchildren. Totally agree with this. I would even go as far as to add up all the child support payments you had to make and show the total amount to both of them. I'm going to guess it's a whole hell of a lot more than 65k in euros. Reckon what her approach would have been had the roles been reversed. She has to understand she's being obtuse and greedy. I'm sure if Opie brought home an affair baby, she would be ever so gracious. She's even grosser not disclosing her dad to her and dragging her into her messy drama. What a mother. Not your child, not your problem. It's bad enough you had to pay child support for 18 years. It's the mother's fault for never trying to find her real father. Oh, I think the mother knew all along who the father was. Next story. My wife has been cheating on me for a year. I plan to divorce her as soon as our child is in childcare. My wife and I have been married for 5 years, and our child was born just over a year ago. I thought we were happy, but my wife became distant soon after. She stopped being interested in intimacy, stopped showing any affection towards me. She seemed to enjoy spending time with me less and less with each passing week and month. I have tried talking to her about it, but she has blocked any effort from me. I wasn't able to reach her. Then about 3 months ago, I saw a notification on her phone. I wasn't snooping, I just wanted to pause the music she had playing. But there it was. Can't wait to see you tonight. I've been hard all day. It was a text from her male best friend. My heart skipped a few beats. I started to look through her phone and found loads of texts going back months. Nude pictures, dirty talk, everything. I wanted to throw up. Apparently, they started getting closer a few weeks after the child was born and started sleeping together around 3 months after the birth. All those nights she went out with her girlfriends, she actually spent at his house. I wanted to confront her, to leave her and be done with her. But we have a child that needs us. I knew I couldn't take care of a child alone, at least not until he would go to kindergarten. And I knew she certainly could not take care of him alone. Besides, I couldn't ever stand being apart from my little boy. So I made a plan. I collected as much evidence as possible and kept my mouth shut. I stopped trying to get closer to her, keep my head down, and just take care of our child with all my heart. But the moment he is settled in at kindergarten when he is 2 years old, I'll divorce my wife and try to get custody of my boy. And that is my situation. I've got to endure a bit more than a year of this broken marriage, pretend that I don't know what she is doing, and keep things civil. There is no one in my life I can talk to about this. I cry myself to sleep when she is out with the girls, knowing what she is actually doing. I gotta stay strong for my boy. I love you, little one. Edit, since everyone in the comments is telling me to get a paternity test, thank you for your advice. I already did. He is my child. Talk to an attorney and make your exit plan. Right here, waiting a year is too long. Kindergarten isn't the only childcare option out there for toddlers. I'm guessing your wife isn't just carrying on an affair, but making her own exit plan. As crappy as it sounds, like you are trying to win the divorce, you want to do everything you can to have a leg up in all court proceedings moving forward, and talking to an attorney immediately will best position you. If she initiates first, she could claim that the two of you had discussed ending the relationship already before she started seeing her friend. Would still qualify as adultery, but put her in a much better light in court, especially if she can prove you were aware of the affair and didn't do anything. Yeah, she definitely is making an exit plan if it's been going on this long. She's probably waiting 6 more months and then giving divorce papers to OP. She's not waiting till this kid is in kindergarten. What will you do if she and her affair partner decide they want to get together before this year timeline is up? She might go for emergency full custody, and then you miserably waited for nothing. Also, be mindful of her friends trying to either support you, as some of them definitely knew what she was doing. They're gaslight you that her friendship with the guy was platonic. You will get a lot of lies and a range of emotions from her once you confront her. Be prepared. There is no way all the evidence I have can be discarded. I know what she is doing, and she is not being very clever about it. Most of our friends are actually her friends. I am not a very outgoing guy, and had not a lot of friends before meeting her. So I'm fully prepared to be on my own once things come out. If there was no child, I just cut contact with her. But for our son, I'll try to be as civil as possible while setting firm limits. Our child needs his mom. Edit 2. Thank you all so much for your feedback and suggestions. To clarify a few things, as I already said yesterday, I had a paternity test done to make sure the kid is mine. He is, but it would not have changed anything for me anyway, at least not how I feel about him. I am talking to an attorney. I have been working with them for a while, gathering evidence and building a case. I am prepared in case my wife decides to act before I plan to do. Thirdly, sole custody is not my goal nor my preference. Optimally, I will go for some form of custody agreement, with me being the primary caregiver. I don't want to take his mom from my little boy, but I am prepared for the worst. Many of you disagree with my opinion to keep my wife's infidelity quiet. Let me clarify. In any legal proceedings, I will not hesitate to use what evidence I have gathered. But I will not go around advertising my wife's actions to our friends and family, or worse, to our boy. I will make damn sure his relationship with his mom stays as untainted as possible. I am aware that she might use some dirty tactics and may not be as respectful as I plan to be, which is why I am prepared for any eventuality with my lawyer. Sorry about the confusion regarding kindergarten, daycare, and childcare. I have used those terms interchangeably. In my country, children can be externally cared for from as young as a few months old, but that is rare. Most commonly, children are put in external care at 2 to 5 years old, depending on the situation. In our case, childcare under the age of 2 is not available, and our financial situation is a bit more complicated than I care to elaborate. Suffice it to say, I have done my research and have determined that external childcare is not feasible or affordable until he is 2, and me staying home to care for him full-time is also not feasible. So, to be sure I can take care of him all by myself, in case the separation goes less than smooth, I am waiting until he is regularly going to external childcare. Last story. I let my niece be adopted. Some people judge me for it, but I think I made a right choice. I love my sister Maggie. She and I had a very rough childhood, and it bonded us. We were raised around drugs, alcohol, and abuse. I managed to escape, went to college, and made something of my life. Maggie wasn't as lucky. She fell in love with a dealer, began using, and entered into an awful marriage. I begged her to leave, offered her a spare room, rehab, etc. I even bailed her out of jail more times than I can count, but she just gets sober, leave him, and then go back. Then she told me she was pregnant. She was so excited. She was in a sober spell, still with her husband, but swore things were different now. He was going to live the life. He promised her. It took all I had not to cry at her naivete. My beautiful niece Harlow was born, and I did my best to protect her. At one point, social services were called on them. CPS did an investigation, and Maggie was distraught. She begged me that if Harlow entered the system, I'd take her. I couldn't let her be adopted. I promised her I would, and the CPS investigation was eventually closed. At one point, Maggie and I had a falling out. I was once again trying to help her leave, get sober, etc., but she refused and cut me out entirely. The husband had left her and moved on to someone else. Maggie moved without telling me, got a new number, and that was that. I was distraught. 3 years later, I got a call that my sister was gone. Coke overdose. I immediately asked about Harlow, and all they could tell me was that she wasn't there. It took a lot of calls, but I eventually uncovered that Harlow had been taken from Maggie a year and a half prior after she was caught buying substances. Now, according to those who know my sister, she swore up and down that she told them about me and that she wanted her place with me. Social services said they tried to locate me but couldn't. I managed to get visitation with Harlow. By this time, she was 7 years old. I didn't think she'd remember me, but she smiled and ran into my arms for a hug. She said she missed me so much. She told me all about her foster parents, her new house. She was so happy and healthy. I met her foster parents, and they were lovely people. So kind, gracious, and loving. I watched as the dad gave her a piggyback ride to their car. Harlow had a huge smile on her face and was giggling. I realized how happy she was. I had several visits with Harlow. Social services told me I could file for kinship and explain the process. I was all for it and began speaking with my partner about the process. Harlow was turning 8, and we were closing in on her spending nearly 2 years with her foster parents. They invited me and my partner to the birthday party. She had so many friends from school there. She was clearly attached to not only her foster parents, but their families. She had a huge house with a yard. The foster parents had 2 older sons who were so good with her. It was like they were a family. The foster mom told me that prior to me showing up, they planned on adopting Harlow, but understood that she may end up with me. She offered to support me in that, but I could tell it was breaking her heart. So the next visit, I asked Harlow how she'd feel about moving in with me. She got sad and asked about her foster family. She referenced them as mommy and daddy. It was in that moment I knew this was her new family. I asked if she wanted them to be her forever family, and she said yes. So I denied taking on kinship. We have no other family, and her biological father's was not interested. I then wrote a letter to the judge blessing the foster parents to adopt Harlow. It wasn't necessary, but I figured I'd try to help as much as possible. 6 months later, Harlow was adopted. Harlow is now 13. I'm still her aunt. Her parents invite me to dinner. I go to birthday parties. They came over to our house on Christmas Eve, and we exchanged presents. Harlow is in therapy for her early years, but is happy now and thriving. Her parents are so loving and caring. Some people in my sister's life have judged me. Maggie wanted her with me after all. My partner's brother was adopted, and he didn't agree with my choice. He feels children should stay with biological families. He has a lot of trauma from his adoption, and he knows Harlow will too. He says one day she may hate me for this. And yet, I'm okay with that. Tearing her from that family would have been so selfish. She's happy and thriving in that home. I feel like she does stay with her biological family by you being in her life. You don't live together, but the fact that you are there for her must make her feel not really abandoned. I think it sounds great. She has so many adults who love her. I wish I had someone outside my family growing up who cared as much as you do. Right? OP is her aunt, and stays her aunt. Nothing is changing that. She still has her relationship with her. Me and my sister had a conversation about what happens to my niece if God forbid both her and her husband died. She said she wanted her daughter to go to her friends and how I felt about it. I said it was the best option, and I'm not hurt at all. I don't have a lot of money. I live in an apartment with roommates because I can't afford to live alone. I'm a chef and requires long hours, working weekends and holidays. And the most important thing, I don't like kids or ever want them. It would be a hard transition for my niece because she doesn't know them as well as me. But long term, it would be best. They have good jobs in the house. If she came with me, I would have to uproot my whole life and would have to do it all on my own. I wouldn't be around much because of work. This scenario is not good for either of us. I would still be in her life if she went to my sister's friends, but me taking kinship of her would be a bad decision for me. And more importantly, her. Update. My 33 female husband, 40 male, is considering conceiving a child with his ex. Original post. I'll preface with the fact that therapy is an absolute given already, so I will be seeking that out. But in the meantime, I need some advice to just process what to even say to a therapist when the time comes. Okay, so the title needs explanation because it is a complicated and nuanced emotional situation. Apologies in advance for rambling, but I am still trying to make sense of the entire situation while grieving, and just trying to get the pertinent details out for advice. My husband and I have been happily married for 3 years now. My husband had a son from a previous relationship before we got together, and I have been in my stepson's life since he was 2 years old. He turned 6 years old this year and got along very well. My stepson's bio mom and I have never been friends in any capacity, but have always been cordial/respectful on the rare times we interacted and never had any issue with one another. My husband and bio mom are similarly cordial/respectful and communicative around their son's needs, but not really friends beyond that. We pretty much adhered to a parallel parenting style and it worked fine. 4 weeks ago, my stepson tragically and very suddenly died from an infection. It has been just absolutely devastating for everyone. The ex is especially just wrecked. Her son was literally her entire life and purpose as a stay-at-home single mom. My grief cannot compare to the level I know she feels, and I do have compassion for that. My husband is, of course, also exceptionally distraught, and I've been doing my best to be understanding in how they both need to grieve as parents. 2 days ago, my husband said he had something he needed to discuss with me. He explained that his ex approached him with a request. She asked my husband to be her sperm donor for IUI/IVF as she desperately wants to be a mom again and wants to conceive a child with the same partner that her son had. He basically made it clear it is something he is willing, even wanting to do, but knows he needs to understand how I feel about it. Well, I don't know how exactly to communicate what I feel about it at this point, but the feelings are not good ones. I told him I needed some time to process this. My husband and I have been trying to have a child for our own for the past few months, so this is even more personally difficult for me to take in. I think I already know that I am not okay with my husband having another child with his ex, but I am thinking of suggesting we offer her financial support to seek out alternative fertility options that do not involve my husband's sperm. And quite honestly, do not involve 18 years of co-parenting. I'm actually not even sure what the ex and my husband are thinking regarding that in this scenario. Additionally, she is 41 years old, so there is a high probability this whole situation would be a lot of money and time spent without any results. Overall, I think I'm just in shock here. I feel disrespected and angry, but I also understand it's not really just about me here, and that both of them are struggling to cope with this unimaginable grief. I would just appreciate some level advice from people outside the situation, specifically advice on how I should convey that I am not on board with this, without making it a point of contention. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Yeah, this is a big no. There are so many emotions here, and during times of grief, they might not be thinking rationally. But having another child to replace one you all lost is not the answer here. I think the first step is couples counseling with your husband, where you state that you aren't comfortable with him fathering a child with another woman while you are undergoing your own journey together. Best leave the bit about age/viability out and that you think it would impact your marriage. Then the intricacies of co-parenting said child would also make you uncomfortable. It's terrible that you are all going through this, and I hope that you can heal in a healthy way. I think most doctors would insist on counseling first before allowing this due to the circumstances, even if OP had been okay. There are rules, and trying to replace a child ticks boxes. Oh no. No, 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 no. I'm so sorry for this loss for everyone involved. Your husband and his ex need major therapy. This loss is too fresh and raw to be thinking about this kind of decision. If all she wanted was to be a parent, there are a myriad of ways she could do that. It sounds more like she's trying to recreate or replace the child she lost. That's a recipe for disaster for any child's emotional and mental health. This would be an absolutely not. Bad idea for everyone. Literally everyone. Therapy. What an immense burden to put on that hypothetical child too. Can you imagine? Mom wants to basically try and clone her deceased son. But what if the replacement baby turns out to be female? Or doesn't look like the late brother enough? Or has a totally different personality? I can just picture the kid having to hear daily, "Your brother would never have done that. Your brother never behaved this way," etc. It's like when parents of a medically fragile child decide to have another one to use for spare parts. Edit. Thank you so much already for the responses. I feel like this is happening to someone else. It is such a shocking and emotional wave after wave, very difficult to process and think totally rationally. I honestly consider understanding and compassion to be personal strengths of mine, so I appreciate the replies acknowledging that I am not betraying that by being a firm no on facilitating the situation. I would just add that I am fortunate to be financially stable independently, and my husband and I had already set aside a fairly significant sum specifically for child support, so even had the specific scenario not arisen, I feel obligated to offer some, if not all, of that to the ex-wife since it was always intended to go to her and son. Anyway, I will keep reading through replies. Thank you again. And at this point, plan to speak with my husband this evening about feeling it is inappropriate to consider this now, and dealing with his grief first and foremost with professional help. Now for the first update. Thank you again to the blunt takes in my situation. Days are still mostly a blur right now, and writing out my issue and reading through the straightforward advice did help ground me a bit. I went ahead and took action on something I could control, reaching out to my therapist and got a reference for a couples counselor who is specifically experienced in dealing with grief around child loss. I was thankfully able to get us fit in for an appointment this week. After I returned home from work last night, my husband came into our room and immediately started sobbing and apologizing. He had spoken with his dad that day and told him what the ex had proposed. My father-in-law, bless him, had apparently really went off on the delusion of it. My husband and I had a long into the early morning talk about it, and he was able to recognize and explain that what seemed like interest in ex's request was misplaced desires. He explained that he's been so focused and excited about the prospect of planning for a child with me for the last 4 months, and envisioned life as a father of two, and it felt confusing to still be feeling that while dealing with the devastation of losing a son. His ex's request was a total shock for him too. And when you're face to face with someone grieving so deeply, asking for your help/a solution, however absurd it is, it's not always as easy to think logically. He was receptive and seemed relieved to have the therapy appointment. So I am hopeful that will be a start in unpacking these complicated and conflicting feelings. We agreed that he should ultimately end all contact with his ex, but we'll still consider what sort of short-term/lump sum financial support makes sense, with consult from a lawyer to keep it entirely copacetic. I realize some commenters find the financial part odd, but I just feel strongly about extending appropriate generosity in this transition since we have the means to do so. We also agreed to hold off on any child planning until sufficient time and counseling takes place. Also, I just want to address the comments on stay-at-home single mom aspect in defense of the ex. I only mentioned that part to say how entirely devoted she was to her son. She was the primary physical caregiver. And yes, the child support order was enough that it allowed her the option to stay home full-time and live comfortably but not extravagantly. Is it the same decision I would make as a career-minded person? No, but that was her prerogative and I do respect that. I really don't know much about X as a person, but what I do know is that she was raising a kind, funny, and smart boy who was loved and cared for, and that was what ultimately mattered. To say there's a lot still up in the air emotionally is an understatement. My husband and I are saying the right things to each other now. Who knows what it will end up being in practice. But I am hopeful at this point that my husband and I will be able to move forward together. I am glad father-in-law was able to talk some sense into your husband. I am truly sorry for what you guys are facing. With respect to compensation, I admire you for your willingness to extend that to her even after what she had asked. I understand grief is a very powerful thing, but lines have been crossed nonetheless. Wish you luck, OP, and sorry for your loss. I worry the ex has become too reliant on the child support and doesn't believe she can provide for herself. Or just plain doesn't want to do so, and that was a big part of her asking for another child from the same father, who has a good career and would provide ample child support. I don't agree with giving her any more compensation, but it's OP's money to waste. A good therapist can help put her in touch with the right resources to help her readjust. The lack of compassion I'm seeing in this and OP's other thread for a parent who lost their child is astounding. And I can't help but think that the respondents are just young and haven't developed much emotional maturity. No parent should ever outlive their child. Hear me out. I'm prepared for downvotes. I think what the ex asked of is extremely inappropriate, and no way should your husband go through with it. However, she is grieving terribly as she lost her child, and the only other person who loved that child as much as her is your husband. So while I think that of course you shouldn't use his sperm for insemination, I don't think you both should cut contact with her. You co-parented with her. You shared love for this child. Maybe offer your supports yet establish boundaries. Now for the last update. I received many very kind, compassionate, helpful comments and PMs from my original posts, and thought it would be easiest to update here for those that ask because it's a wild development. So, I found out that my husband did not tell me the truth about his ex's request. The truth being that they had frozen embryos when they were together from years ago and she was planning to use those. I obviously had no idea they had done this, and likely would have never known if not for the fact that the ex did have a successful implantation and is now in her first trimester. So my husband was forced to come clean. The distress I feel about everything that has happened in the past 4 months is beyond words. So that's it. That's the update. I don't know what to do regarding so many things about this. At least I have a good therapist. So he agreed to let her use the frozen embryos without your knowledge. It is only letting you know now that the implantation is successful? I can't even imagine how you're feeling right now. But what about you? Were you guys still actively trying for a baby? Yes, I'm now questioning a lot about what he relayed to me regarding his past and general communication with his ex. It seems like they maybe always had some kind of understanding that she could utilize the embryos when she wanted, regardless of my stepson's passing. I even think that weirdly, she thought I was aware of this or something. But yeah, we stopped trying after my stepson's passing. Of course, I can't imagine also being pregnant at this time, so I know that's for the best. But yeah, I honestly feel really embarrassed to be involved in this, like some kind of third wheel. I'm mad, and I'm really, really sad. And sad for their future child. Oh gosh, I'm really sorry to hear that. I was hoping it was done without his knowledge. I understand that the ex and your partner are grieving, but this is a big lifetime decision that your partner excluded you on. You went into the relationship knowing about your stepson and that was your choice to accept. But in this situation, it seems that you have been refused that. What does this decision mean for you and your husband? What does he have to say? He just said he didn't expect to meet someone like me. He didn't want to lose me. So he basically compartmentalized things and hoped for the best. It all kind of feels like variations of lies now though. I wish more than anything that all this could have come to light without my stepson's passing being the catalyst. No one is anywhere close to accepting that grief of that at this point. I plan to let my husband and his ex move on with that. Without me though. How did he think he was going to get away with this? I get that your husband and his ex are grieving, but this is basically a screw you to your marriage. He lied to you. Is he now going to go to all the antenatal classes, attend a birth and have 50% custody? You signed up for it the first time around. This is an entirely different scenario. Has he now decided to start putting your own family on the back burner because he can't cope with 2 babies at once? I'm so indignant on your behalf. I honestly thought you had it sorted at your first update. The only way I think you could salvage your relationship at this point is if he signs his rights away as a sperm donor and is not on the baby's birth certificate. I'm mortified at how hopeful my previous post reads. I feel quite set on filing for divorce as soon as I can get myself out of bed. I'm not fit to be a stepmom or a wife anymore. Now for the last story. I, 30 male, and my wife, 26 female, are trying to figure out what to do about her parent, 50 male, unable to work. Hey y'all, my recently married wife and I are in a bit of a bind, and I'm just looking for a little perspective. Her dad has always been a bit eccentric, and ultimately an issue is that he lives off of Social Security and is not willing to pursue any kind of employment. He has always kind of floated place to place, declared bankruptcy when the cards got maxed, etc. to make it work. At this point, everyone but us and his family has effectively cut him off. His current situation is, his expenses are higher than his Social Security income, and he is heading to another bankruptcy. He is already having significant issues finding places to live and has stayed in some pretty sketchy areas. Unfortunately, I will tell you now that he will not take any action and is going to take no effort to course correct. He will just dodge bills, collections, etc. for as long as he can. My new wife wants him to move in with us so that way he can be taken care of, but I am a little hesitant. I do understand that aging parents and taking care of them is a thing in marriage. And maybe I am just selfish, but I am a bit frustrated with him. Again, he has more or less told her that it is her fault if he ends up homeless. And it is in our means to have him move in, but I feel he should take some kind of effort to resolve his own situation. He is the type that will never leave the house during the day. And while my wife says it will be temporary, I do not believe he would ever move out willingly down the line. Other people he moved in within his family had to take drastic legal action to evict him. I feel guilty for having these reservations, and I know I need to step up to do the right thing by my wife. If it was my parent, I would want her to help, but the situation seems frustrating. I wish there was another way to help him out, but he has been living this way for 10 plus years, and is unlikely to ever change. Now for the advice. Absolutely do not let him move in. He'll never leave, and his presence will destroy your marriage. He's only 50 and already on Social Security? Is he disabled? Perhaps you can help your wife research facilities where he could be placed. Help her help him. But again, do not let him stay with you, not even for one night. He is disabled to a degree due to arthritis, but he's still entirely fine to live on his own, go to appointments, etc. as a self-sufficient adult. He just chooses not to do anything to better his own situation and relies on someone to eventually bail him out. You know, if you allow him to move in, he will not leave. This will also hamper any bedroom time with your wife. Tough love may be the only way forward. You cannot help someone unwilling to help themselves. I think it will hamper our quality of life for sure. My biggest concern is my wife wants this. And I know morally it is the right thing to do. But it seems very unfair to be in this situation just because he doesn't want to change his situation.
Am I the a-hole for dumping my boyfriend after I got a surprise from his ex? So we've been together just over 13 months. I, female 27 and Luke, male 29, we're planning on moving in together in about 4 months when his lease is up. We have been to loads of events together. Weddings, engagement parties, birthdays, even his grandparents' wedding anniversary party. We were due to attend his friend's wedding in a neighboring country when a few weeks before, he told me he didn't want me to go. It was just as I was booking my flights. I asked why and he said I would be bored. I know his friend group well, so it's not like I wouldn't know anyone. Anyway, despite many heated discussions, he was adamant. This left a bad taste in my mouth and I felt something was off. So 7 of my friends and I decided to go for a break at a beach while he was gone and then extended it to a full week. My friend Jem's parents had a house at the beach less than 2 hours drive away and the weather was supposed to be good, so we were excited. We were leaving on Wednesday and due back the following Wednesday morning early and going straight into work. I didn't even bother telling my boyfriend. Honestly, it felt like he wouldn't care, and I was on the brink of breaking up with him, but decided to enjoy the beach break first. I get a call from Anna, female 26, out of the blue. Anna was the girlfriend of my boyfriend's best friend Sam, 29. We had been due to travel with them. She overheard Luke talking to Sam. Sam was asking if he really wasn't going to bring me to the wedding. Luke said yes, because his ex Lucy, late 20s I think, had finally RSVP'd she was going and had really delayed. She texted Luke and told him she couldn't wait to see him again and had a surprise for him. They had broken up 3 years ago and she lived abroad, and they kept in touch a little as far as I knew. Luke was convinced the surprise was a hookup, as this has been some kind of a running joke with them when they dated. Anyway, he didn't want me there messing up his chance of having sex with Lucy. He said it was a once-off, but he had to do it. Well, that was enough for me. I knew I would be dumping him, but didn't want a week of him texting or harassing me to forgive him while I was at the beach. So I held off until we got back. On a Tuesday, Luke texted and said he was sleeping over at mine until Thursday, as he would be leaving early Friday morning and would be gone until Sunday. He didn't ask, just told me. I replied that he couldn't, as I was leaving very early on Wednesday morning for a week's vacation and would see him next week. Told him not to worry about keeping in touch because I was planning to be phone-free on my vacation as much as possible. He asked why I didn't told him I was going on vacation, and I just said I thought I had. He wanted to know who I was going with and 100 other questions. I told him we would talk when I got back, that I was busy packing and to enjoy the wedding and I hope it was full of surprises for him. He didn't reply. We had a fantastic vacation. The rain held off and we stayed on the beach all day and hit nightclubs and local bars and restaurants at night. I didn't post on social media, but was certainly tagged in a lot of pics. He texted me a few times Thursday and Friday, but just general flight leaving now and I got here okay stuff. But on Saturday, the day of the wedding, he really texted and called a lot. The texts were all how he missed me and made a mistake not bringing me. I didn't reply and didn't answer any calls. Same on Sunday. Then he got home on Sunday nights and wanted to join us at the beach. I told him no, he would just be bored. So Sunday day night, Anna rang me and couldn't stop laughing. His ex Lucy turned up to the restaurant Friday to the group dinner, and her surprise was that she was 7 months pregnant with her new husband's baby, and her shiny new husband was with her. Lucy played a cruel but hilarious prank on him. But it also ended our relationship, but I was grateful to Lucy for showing me who he really was. Luke arrived to mine Wednesday after I got back and was love-bombing me, telling me how much he missed me and apologizing again. At that point, I told him I knew why he didn't bring me and that his surprise wasn't sex but a pregnant ex and her husband. So I told him it was over. He planned to cheat even if he didn't get the chance to. I was laughing at how Lucy pranked him, but honestly, I was still hurting on the inside. He tried to get me to change my mind because he hadn't actually cheated, but I wouldn't. Am I the a-hole for dumping him even though he didn't actually cheat? Now for the top comments. Anna is a real friend for looking out for you. Anna is a hero. And honestly, so is Lucy. Lady Karma outdid herself with this one. Not the a-hole and have Anna give Lucy her thanks. Right? I love this so much for him. Not only did he not get to sleep with his ex, which was so important to him, apparently he was willing to sacrifice his relationship. He's also single now. What a freaking loser. Onwards and upwards, OP. Not the a-hole. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. Hope you had a fantastic vacation. I love that saying because I should have listened to that statement ages ago once or twice. You'll meet someone better, OP. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my girlfriend out while she recovers from surgery? I, male 27, have been with my girlfriend, female 25, for 3.5-ish years. We have a great relationship, except for when it comes to money. She's terrible with money and is very impulsive when it comes to spending. A year ago, I sat down with her and discussed our finances, and hers was crap to say the least. I told her I'd help her get out of the hole she was in if she was willing to sacrifice and do the work. We made plans and agreed. If she could reduce her spending by a certain amount for 3 months in a row, she could move in with me at my townhouse and get out of her $4,500 a month lease to save up and pay off her credit card debts. She did it and moved in with me. We agreed that in the $4,500, she'd put $2,000 towards debt and $2,500 would go to a savings account. She's done that for the last 9 months and is almost done paying off her debts. She should now have about $20,000 in her savings. 3 weeks ago, she left with her cousin to visit family. When she came back, she had gotten a Brazilian butt lift done. She had spent nearly all of her savings. I was furious over it and told her to pack up her crap and leave my place. She's since gone and has been blowing up my phone, saying she should have discussed it with me first and that I love it when it's fully healed and all kinds of stuffs. She knows I wouldn't support her doing it, let alone spend that money on it. She's had to take time off work to recover and had to go straight back to using her credit card. She says if I don't forgive her and take her back, she'll be forced to where she was financially a year ago. I told her that's none of my business. Am I overreacting and being an a-hole? She had 3.5 years to learn 1, you value fiscal responsibility over beauty. 2, not getting married because her impulsivity. Making a unilateral decision to spend her entire savings is fully her right, but can't be shocked that a 100% predictable result happened. Clearly she'll never learn. Not the a-hole. This. Thank you. Not the a-hole, and by the way, this was planned. It was not spur of the moment. She just was pulling the old, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. She spent $20,000 on a butt job and is saying you kicking her out is why she'll be back to her old spending habits? Yeah, okay. I know, right? The fat that they sucked out of her head and put in her butt is making her confused. If she is right back where she was a year ago, it is nobody's fault but her own. But when it heals, you love it. I really can't stop laughing. Something is seriously wrong with her. I'm finding it hard to believe that someone this stupid can afford a $4,500 apartment. It was pretty much her entire savings, to be fair. You get to decide if you want to take the risk of living like this between now and when you die. When you get married or committed long-term and set financial goals, can you trust her? Do you want to find out? She made bad financial choices before she moved in and is still making them. She is not financially compatible with you. And now she has a fake butt that will likely get some version of hard, uneven, lumpy, possible necrotic, and still fake. Next story. Am I the a-hole for blocking and silently moving on from my cheating fiancé? I, 31 female, dated my ex-fiancé Jose, 33 male, for 5 years, and we had been engaged for about 6 real months. We had a really good relationship. I thought he and I were going to end up being together for the rest of our lives and build a family. To make a long story short, I found out he had been cheating on me with a coworker for about 9 months. Yes, before the engagement. At first, I was beyond mad, and my first impulse was to find ways to literally ruin his and her life. But honestly, after about 16 hours of thinking and crying about it, he was on a work trip. I figured anything I did would be a waste of time. And since my goal was to start a family, I felt like I didn't really have any more time to waste on someone who obviously isn't going to be in my life in the long term or short term. So I just let go. I packed all my things, asked my dad to help me move them back into the family home so I could get situated, and literally just started moving forward with my life. I just let him have anything that was ours. Something about those items seemed foreign to me now, and I really didn't want to associate with it. I left the ring at a house. By about halfway through the second day while I was moving my stuff, he started to really push the envelope on getting me on the phone, but I just continued to dodge. I had to undo some things, There were no joint bank accounts, but some other accounts/things that we shared that I had to untangle. But our lives were pretty separate. By the third day, still without saying anything to him, I blocked him and asked my parents not to discuss anything with him. They of course knew what had happened. I told them they were more than welcome to maintain a relationship with him if they chose. My dad loved him, but I asked them not to discuss or talk about me at all. After a week-long business trip, he showed up at the house, but I told my dad I had nothing to say to him and to please get him to go away. Now, it's been about 2 weeks and he hasn't been back since, so I've still not talked to him, still blocked. I feel like I've never really made an effort to move on with my life. I'm touring nearby apartments and hope to have my own lease signed by the end of the month. I really just felt like there wasn't anything to talk about. And I didn't feel like I owed someone who would do something like that to me anything, even a conversation. This morning, while discussing my plans, etc., my parents basically sat me down and asked me to talk over everything with him. They figure I will regret it in the future, that mistakes happen, that without his confessions, I can't be 100% sure that he cheated, etc., etc. I told him that I didn't really want to waste any more time on the situation and that, while I was being selfish, I didn't think hearing his side would help me in healing in any way. My mom and I got into a pretty heated argument. Eventually, she told me she raised a more compassionate and caring daughter than that. Why do I owe a cheater anything? Am I the a-hole? Edit. Saw some people asking. Sorry, forgot to mention how I found out. I'm 100% sure he is/was cheating. I was working on the downstairs computer when an email came through in Outlook. From what I knew, we had Gmail accounts. I clicked the tab and saw tons of recent emails of orders for a bunch of products. Things like Lubrasil, KY, etc. I knew we weren't using anything like that, so instantly got suspicious. I started to look around the email a bit and didn't really find much. However, I wasn't reading anything sent from his company's work address, but eventually clicked into several emails. And yeah, the emails were pretty sexual, and had times of them meeting up, going out, being intimate, etc. for the last 9 months. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole and I'm a suspicious woman, so I'm fairly certain at least one of your parents is in contact with him and is spinning them some BS story. Put your parents on an information diet. Tell them clearly that they are not to disclose your new location. You showed maturity and grace. You stood up for yourself. There is absolutely nothing to regret. And why on earth would anyone want to be compassionate to a cheater and liar? No regrets. Hold your head up high and move on. My bad is the mom. She is mad at Opie and stated she thought she raised a more compassionate daughter and wants her to hear his side. Why would she care what his side was? If I had a daughter and someone hurt her, no matter how much I liked that person, I stand by her, because that person hurt my daughter. Opie was compassionate and caring. That's why she didn't cheat. Get the mother to read through all the emails detailing their sexy time, out loud, with Opie's father sitting there. After every illicit reference, Opie can ask, and how would you feel if Dad sent this email to another woman? Dad, how would you feel if this situation was reversed? If Opie's mother is still insisting Opie be more compassionate and hear him out, it's time to start asking if she's cheating, seeing as she's trying to excuse it. Not the a-hole. Full stop. You handled a gut-wrenching situation with maturity. Packing up and moving on without causing a scene is a ballsy move. The audacity to suggest you might regret not hearing his confessions is some grade A nonsense. Cheating is a deal breaker for many, and it's clear as day it is for you too. You don't owe him a conversation or closure. Him cheating was his choice, and moving on silently is yours. Props for keeping it classy and respecting yourself enough to walk away without looking back. Don't let anyone guilt you into thinking you need to hear him out. Stay strong and keep moving forward. It's possibly the ultimate revenge. Not allowing the cheater any way to justify or explain their actions and giving them no chance for closure is the ultimate in head games. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend she can leave after she berated me in front of her friends? Recently had a cookout with my girlfriend 26 and her friends came. First off, I'll admit that I'm batting out of my league. My girlfriend is gorgeous, and I'm an average guy. Well, I don't know her friends, they seemed stuck up. Throughout the event, I tended to notice that she did not compliment me one time, and instead took constant jabs at me and berated me. She commented on my receding hairline. Said I had a crappy tattoo. She's right, my friend gave me it. Said I'm a lightweight and will be in bed by 8 and can't hang. Said my truck is a piece of crap. Said I don't have any exes because I'm awkward. I mean, there's some truth to some of this, sure, but it's messed up. Because when I'm with my friends, I'll be giving her the biggest compliments. The only thing she said that was relatively nice was that I made her feel safe. I guess this is a compliment? Anyways, afterwards, I asked her why she took so many shots at me, and she said she was just joking and I was being a child. I told her she can leave if she feels like I don't bring anything to the table, and we argued some more and dropped it. We're still kind of walking in eggshells though. Not the a-hole. Congratulations on getting your first ex. Jokes aside, you deserve better. What you did was really not okay, and a big waving red flag. Not the a-hole. Let her find someone who suits her, and you will meet someone who will appreciate you. Not the a-hole. I mean, if she's going to be a mean girl around her friends like this, are you sure it's not her who is out of your league? I would rather be alone than date someone who tried to tear down parts about me like that. You don't want someone who's going to tear your self-esteem. You want a partner who's going to build yourselves up with you. You're playing in a different league. You are thinking of looks, she's thinking safety and stability. Ask yourself, if she wasn't hot, would you be interested in her? If something happens tomorrow and she lost her looks by weight gain, wrinkles, botched surgery, etc., would her charming personality be worth keeping? She may have exes because they finally ask themselves this very question. Attention of a hot girl can be blinding if he hasn't had previous luck with girlfriends. I went from fat to fit in college, and went from no girls to objectively good looking. And it was an eye-opening experience then, and something that I still reflect on. Not only behavior I witnessed from others, but my own behavior. She's trying to be cool in front of her friends. It's juvenile and high school mean girl behavior, and she's the child, not you. Then she dismissed her feelings. She needs to grow the heck up. She might be gorgeous on the outside, but she's ugly on the inside. Are you sure you want to be around her? I don't think she's going to stop this behavior. She is embarrassed to be dating Opie, it looks like, and is trying to pay it off to her friends as if she doesn't consider the relationship serious.